your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
I have a question or a query for anybody that might have been looking outside at about 4:52, 4:54 this morning. I'd stepped out on my back patio just to see how much it rained, or just, I don't have a rain gauge, just to see if there was, see what the rain had done, because when I got up in the night, I could hear it raining, and looked up in the sky, and I think I saw a UFO, because I can't identify what I saw. So in the pure definition of a UFO, unidentified flying object, it was a string of lights. It almost looked like, I thought for a moment it was one of those con streams, from an airplane, but it was like a string of lights, like a centipede.
Were they moving across the sky?
Yeah.
That would be Elon Musk's internet thing. Whatever that, I can't think of.
I mean, it was like a string of light bulbs.
It's like 10 light bulbs. It's like 10 satellites that are supplying internet to people.
Okay.
They're all over the place.
Okay.
I'm surprised that's the first one you've seen.
Well, I mean, so I guess it's not an unidentified flying object.
Well, it was for you.
It was for me, right?
Yeah. Now, I'm guessing that's what it was. It could have been 10 aliens flying in formation across the planet that we wouldn't have picked up at all.
I don't know if it was 10 or what the number was.
Whatever the number was.
But I mean, it looked like a string of of light bulbs.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. His internet service that he's got all those. Skylink? Not Skylink.
Okay.
Skynet. That's not Skynet either. We don't want Skynet. Skynet bad. That's Terminator. Someone's gonna help me out. Starlink. Thank you, Bullfighter. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what those are.
Okay. Well, there you go. Our 1%er here. Ask a question. He provides instant knowledge, Jamie.
Yeah, I had the info for you.
Yeah, the computer who wore tennis shoes. Jeff McGuire right there.
No.
Okay.
Just pay attention to things.
Somebody else said that is Starlink. Okay, well, it looked low. I'd never seen that before. So, okay. See, I knew if I asked that question that somebody would have seen it or have an answer for me. So,
well, that does bring up an interesting point, because Chuck couldn't identify it. He immediately thinks it's aliens.
No, I just
doesn't think it could be a helicopter or a plane that he just doesn't know what it looks like. He goes, aliens.
Well, I'd never seen that before.
So it has to be aliens.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess.
It's the jump to conclusion when you see lights in the sky. And not just you. I'm not picking on Chuck.
Yeah.
The jump to conclusion on lights in the sky, it's aliens and not like a plane with a light on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, like I said.
I saw a fox outside of the building this morning. He was kind of cute looking.
That was an identified fox.
Yeah. I thought we were sharing, so I thought I would share it too. Really
Paul,
long tail and 4 little legs.
Okay.
Looked like a cute little guy. Kind of wanted to bring him into the station.
Did he say anything?
Ding, 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 ding.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah.
Paul asked this question: is there anything Jeff doesn't know?
When to shut up?
There's some truth in
You'd be really good on like Jeopardy or.
Oh yeah, there's no question.
Shows,
yeah, there's no question. Any kind of quiz show. This report from Dallas. This is NFL related and Dallas Cowboy related. Dak Prescott says, "I'm as healthy as I'll be. I'll be full go for camp. I'm healthy. Yeah, I think soon here I'll be probably soon. I'm going to read this exactly. I'll be full go for camp. I'm healthy. Yeah, I think soon here I'll probably get the official sign off from Doc, but I'm healthy." So he hasn't gotten the full sign off yet. But remember, he missed the last 9 games of the season with a hamstring avulsion that required surgery. He showed, according to this ESPN article, no signs of the injury during the offseason program, although some of the out-of-pocket movements were limited by design. So hopefully he'll be good to go, because the Cowboys are going to need him, obviously, because it's a very competitive division there in the NFC East that maybe beyond, the Eagles are going to be the going-away favorite because they're the defending champions, and they bring a lot of people back, and they have, studs at lots of different positions, but the Cowboys are going to fight for a wild card spot or something along those lines. They're going to need Dak Prescott as healthy as he can be, because just critical to have him there. So hopefully that's good news, Jamie.
You would think so. I mean, he's their leader. He's their guy. I don't know if the pieces are good enough around him, but you definitely need Dak Prescott playing at a high level. I don't think you want to imagine a world right now with your backup, who is who?
Yeah.
Jeff? Anyone?
Bueller?
Yeah.
Bueller?
Yeah.
No, I think he pitches for the Red Sox. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you want to imagine a world where Dak's hurt and not able to go.
Yeah, and with the addition of George Pickens, hopefully that is going to help the offense pick up a tick.
You would think so.
Yeah. And
I feel like that was a somewhat under the radar, underrated move this offseason.
Yeah, I think the Steelers were, trading a guy that they each had fallen out of love with each other. There was some, I think, discontentment there over, how he was being utilized and could be utilized. And
well, you've seen the struggle that their quarterback has had.
Right.
Being an elite receiver, or on the cusp of being an elite receiver in that range, having a quarterback that is not what you want.
Well, now they have a different quarterback. They have Aaron Rodgers. Now, this is not Aaron Rodgers from 5 years ago or 10 years ago. This is an Aaron Rodgers that comes in with, lots of question marks. It's like, and who's made it almost crystal clear that this is his last year. So it's like, hey, what are you doing, Pittsburgh? Do you really feel like you got a chance to, make some noise in the playoffs and get yourself to a Super Bowl? Because that's kind of how they think there, like Super Bowl or bust. But it doesn't necessarily feel like Aaron Rodgers is a guy that can lead them to that spot.
Yeah, he's not been the same quarterback in recent years. There's no question, but I still think he's a good quarterback. I just don't think he's great, but I don't think they had great last year either.
Yeah.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
In sports history, here is Jeff McGuire.
Starting in 1877, the first Wimbledon Tennis Championship took place. It was the first official long tennis tournament. It begins featuring men's singles only.
How about that?
Nice.
Well, everything starts with men's singles only, and then we figure out it's more fun with the women involved.
So that's it. You'll be here all week, right? Tip your waiter.
1954, British Open Golf. 23-year-old Australian Peter Thompson wins his first of 5 Open titles, this one by a single stroke. 1968, Will Chamberlain becomes the first reigning NBA MVP to be traded the next season when he moves from Philadelphia 76ers to the Los Angeles Lakers. 1988, Nolan Ryan becomes the 7th player to win 100 games with 2 different teams as the Astros beat the Mets 6-3. And yesterday we talked about A.J. Ramos getting his 26th save of the year.
He get his 27th?
Today in 2016, he gets his 27th save of the year.
Nice.
This one pitching on back-to-back days in the Marlins 4-2 win over the Reds. Chuck was quite amazed that he already had 26 saves at this point in 2016. Yesterday.
It's a good amount. It's basically like one every 3 days ish.
And doing it with the Marlins too. That weren't that great a team.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing too is that a lot of his, unfortunately, because he was there and they weren't a great team, and in Miami, some of that was just done under the radar. Because I think we would talk about him, but not maybe to the level that maybe we should have.
Well, we're going to hear a lot about it through the summer. I think he had 38 saves or something.
Okay, well, you're going to give us every one now, aren't you?
We're probably going to talk about every one of them throughout the course of the summer. It is National Sugar Cookie Day.
Oh, I'm a big fan of the sugar cookie.
Happy birthday to a guy who, if I was him, would just sign everything thanks. Tom Hanks turned 69 today. T. Hanks.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, there you go. Okay, I didn't get that until you spelled it out for us. But that was very clever.
That one's not, actually.
You were on it this morning, Jeff.
Courtney Love, 61. Fred Savage, 49. Jimmy Smits is 70. Trent Green is 55. And John Tesh.
How old is he today?
73 years old.
Wow. Well, he is still going strong, too.
Well, I mean, he's like a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, he's...
It's funny, you think John Tesh, I think NBA on NBC.
Right. Well, I mean, he did this.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying that to me, I hear that, and I think...
NBA on NBC. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, I do, too. Yeah.
And then a Saturday Night Live bit about the fake intro for how that happened. It's where my head immediately goes afterwards. This day, 1960, gentlemen. President Dwight D. Eisenhower and Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev trade verbal threats over the future of Cuba. In the following years, Cuba became a dangerous place, focusing on the Cold War competition between the United States and Russia. Khrushchev fired the first shots during a speech in Moscow. He warned that the Soviet Union was prepared to use its missiles to protect Cuba from U.S. intervention. One should not forget, he said, that the United States is no longer an unreachable distance from the Soviet Union as it was before. He charged the United States was plotting insidious and criminal steps against Cuba. Eisenhower would respond in his speech warning that the United States would not face the establishment of a regime dominated by international communism in the Western Hemisphere. Soviet premier threat of retaliation demonstrated the clear intention to establish Cuba in a role serving Soviet purposes in this hemisphere. So what I'm saying, boys, is buckle up. There's a Cuban Missile Crisis on the frontier.
Okay.
And that is this day in sports history.
This day in sports history. Thank you, Jeff. It is 6:49 this morning here on the Morning Drive. We talked about this just a little bit when the Wimbledon topic came up. Did you like it better when Wimbledon ended around the 4th of July? Do you feel like it had a more heightened awareness at that point in time? Do you feel like it's lost its luster?
No.
Okay.
No. Liked it then, like it now.
Okay. Did you see the story on Trinity Rodman? Her boyfriend is Ben Shelton.
Okay.
She and this is sad, frankly. It's sad because she's been at Wimbledon for, I guess, almost all of her boyfriend Ben Shelton's matches, cheering him on alongside his parents and sister Emma. She's not happy with the fact that the Wimbledon broadcasters bring her up during Shelton's matches. She said, "For those who don't know, my name is Trinity, not Tiffany." Apparently they called her Tiffany. Then she went on to request that Wimbledon announcers stop bringing up her estranged dad, Dennis Rodman. Also, for Ben's matches, he has family there as his support system, which include his dad. "My dad's not even in my life, so no need to bring him up during his matches when I don't even want him talked about during mine. It's his and his loved one's moment. Thank you." I mean, Dennis Rodman's responsible for all of his shenanigans and lack of relationship with his daughter. It's just sad that she has to go to that level and goes to that level to point that out.
What percentage of the population of sports fans is watching Wimbledon?
Probably
pretty small.
Pretty small, yeah.
Okay. All right, so 99% of sports fans don't know who Ben Shelton is, okay, and probably don't know who he's dating, okay, and so I'm guessing she went to social media with this.
Yeah. I think
Okay, so
yeah.
she ultimately brought more exposure to the whole ordeal. Way more exposure to the whole ordeal
Yeah.
by going to social media with it now. I mean, you wouldn't have never known about this.
No, I wouldn't have.
You wouldn't have known that Ben Shelton
Was dating
Trinity.
Trinity Rodman.
Right.
I almost said
Right.
Tiffany. Trinity Rodman. Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
Do you know what Ben Shelton looks like? Do you know what he
No.
plays right-handed or left-handed?
No, I do not.
Yeah, I mean,
Couldn't
she's
pick
bringing
him out of a lineup with two people and a good hint.
Yes.
There's a lot of people I can't pick out of a lineup, but he's
a
one of
really
them.
good young left-handed American player
Okay.
who's black. Okay.
Okay. See, I had a completely different. I had a right-handed guy in my head.
Yeah, he might be mixed. I'm not sure, but anyway, he's got a wicked left-handed serve. Okay, terrific young player, really fun to watch. Okay, but she's brought more publicity to the whole negative with her and Dennis and Ben Shelton than she. It's just, I mean, okay, man, just let it go, Trinity. Just let it go. You brought way more attention to this than ever would have been there. Some tennis announcer said your name wrong, whatever.
Yeah.
They mentioned who you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know how many times that she
Just
was
let it
mentioned.
go.
I mean, I don't know how many. I don't know if it's every match or if they're, because during the volley, there's Trinity Rodman. Her father played for the Chicago Bulls, won numerous NBA championships.
And Lakers and Spurs and Pistons.
Yeah,
and
they're estranged. Yeah.
I mean, just let it go.
Yeah, she did, and she's got a name unto herself because she won a gold medal.
Yeah, she's a great player. She's fun to watch too. She's a terrific player.
And I mean, if she wanted to get a note to the announcer, she would have the means to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Without saying it on Instagram, which is where she went.
Yeah.
So I mean, you make a good point. My point really was, it's just sad. It's a sad story, but. You make a good point as well.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Good morning with Jamie Lent, Jeff McGuire, and Chuck Heinz. We'll have Ranger Baseball on the air for you tonight. They'll try to make it 2 in a row over the Angels from the Big A in Anaheim. We'll have it for you at 8, balls and strikes at 8:35. The Houston Astros will try to get one of 3 against the Cleveland Guardians. They've lost the first 2. This will be the conclusion of that series. Tonight, 6:40 on 100.7 The Score, and then balls and strikes at about 7:10 from Houston. And then the Astros have tomorrow off, and then they'll entertain the Rangers over the weekend. It'll be Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon, and we'll have both the Ranger and the Astro broadcast for you. Astros, of course, on 100.7 The Score, and the Rangers here on Double T 97.3. This news from the Big 12 this morning, Jamie, and I guess what I'm thinking is, I'm like, well, I kind of wish they'd done that here, but maybe it will come here next year. The WWE and the Big 12 announced an expansion to their multifaceted partnership today that will see Friday Night SmackDown broadcast from 4 different Big 12 games on a Friday on the eve of 4 conference football games throughout the 2025 season. The first one will take place at 3 Arena in Dublin, Ireland, prior to Iowa State and K-State playing on Saturday, August the 23rd. So their season gets underway a week before the Red Raiders. That event will be on the 22nd. Then on Friday, October 3rd, SmackDown will take place at Heritage Bank Center in Cincinnati. This is next to the baseball stadium. This particular Coliseum used to be called Riverfront Coliseum back in the day. And that will be on October 4th, and ironically, that is before Iowa State plays at Cincinnati. And then on Friday, October the 24th, SmackDown will take place at Mullet Arena in Tempe.
Seems like a perfect name for it.
Yeah, before Houston and Arizona State. That is the City Arena in Tempe. That is not where the Arizona State Sun Devils play their games. At least, that's a different arena. And then also in Salt Lake on Halloween night. This will be perfect for Halloween night. SmackDown will take place at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. That's where the Utah Jazz play, prior to Cincinnati and Utah playing. So Cincinnati's involved in a couple of those things, one at home and one on the road.
I can tell you why they aren't coming to Lubbock with this.
The arena's not big enough. The arena's not available.
All of those stadiums are at least 20,000 seats.
All those arenas?
All those arenas are at least 20,000 seats. The USA's at 15.
Okay.
That's a big cut for the WW to make.
Sure.
To
5,000 seats.
For a televised event. Now, they'll come to the USA for the house shows, and they do that like twice a year, I think, is like they're in town.
Mm-hmm.
But for the televised big major events, it's a little small.
Okay. We'll get back to the Big 12 here in just a second, but just an observation. I was just casually caught. It's crazy how quickly the NBA season ends with the finals, and then all of a sudden the summer league begins, and you're like, my God, we don't get a break.
Nobody's making you watch.
I know. It happened to be on where I was.
So he's okay with summer league basketball, but not summer league football.
I'm not okay with it. I was only watching it because I was at the gym and I was working out, and I looked up and I saw it, and I was curious where the game was, not who was playing. And the game was at Utah, where the Utah Utes play, and I've not been to that arena, and it looks nice. It looks like a nice spot there in Salt Lake City. Okay. So I'm curious. I'm curious to go there this coming year and see it and check it out. All right. This question off the Yates Flooring Center chat line, and then I want to get to some remarks that at some point in time that Brett Yormark made yesterday. Ed asked this: would we still be as excited for the season and the chance at a Big 12 championship with the current roster if Texas and Oklahoma were still in the conference?
Their rosters obviously would be closer to where you are, I would guess. It would be two teams that you would feel like are, you wouldn't feel like you're probably favored over.
Mm-hmm.
But in the national grand scheme of things, if Texas Tech's roster were to face off with Texas's roster, Oklahoma's roster, in the college football playoff, I don't think you would go into the game feeling like you didn't have a chance, a good shot.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm not.
But the odds of you winning the Big 12 with those two not there, it's definitely higher.
Yeah,
if that's what the question is.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think the question was, would we still be as excited? I mean, in the preseason poll that I'm looking at right now, Oklahoma is 16th, okay, and Texas is a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4. I mean, depending on probably which poll that you look at. In this particular poll, Texas is number 1. So yeah, I mean, if Texas is in your league, yeah, I mean that. But I still think you're really, really, really excited because of the roster that you've built. So,
yeah.
I'm excited to see the quote new look Red Raiders with all the new players and new coordinators. I'm worried about there being a string of injuries that will take several of them out. Tech's history has been riddled with high hopes being dashed by the injury bug. I think one of the differences, Jamie, and you talked about it several times over the last few weeks, is just the depth of this team seems to be different than what we've experienced in previous years, regardless of who the coach was.
Yeah, I mean, we heard all about the depth on the defensive side of the ball last year, and that didn't come to fruition. To me, this is about high-end talent more so than depth. This is about you've got players at a lot of different positions who are really, really good. And I just think you're playing with a higher talent level than you've ever played with.
Okay.
Yeah, and that comes at a bunch of different positions. So you can call it depth, you can call it what you want. And I don't think you're in a position where, I mean, if you lose one of these key guys that you feel like, oh, man, we can't compete anymore without that guy. Let's hope we're not saying that. Remember, again, last year, all we heard in the preseason was about how deep the defense was. And then your defense gets lit up by ACU in the first game. And we're talking about, I can't even remember which defensive back it was, but we're like, well, he was hurt. He was hurt. And I'm like, well, what happened to this depth? And it was ACU. No offense to ACU, but you shouldn't be giving up 50-plus to ACU. You know?
Surviving a 2-point conversion to win the ball game.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. You know, this person continues to ask this, or states also this. I understand that we're loaded this year. It also feels like our chances are better simply because they're gone, Oklahoma and Texas.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. That's why I say you've never had a better opportunity to win the conference than you do right now.
Which you can only do with whom's on your schedule and who's in your league, and they chose to go somewhere else. So you can take advantage of that. And
they didn't want to catch this smoke, boys. That's why they left.
They're still going to hand out a Big 12 trophy. It doesn't say a Big 12 championship but Texas and Oklahoma aren't here. You know. 7:24 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Jamie's question of the day is next here on Double T 97.3.
This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
Okay, so as I sat at Big 12 Media Days yesterday and looked around and looked at the different jerseys and helmets, and I thought to myself about the different teams and their coaches and their quarterbacks and their star players.
Broadcasters?
No, didn't think about them.
Okay.
No, not the broadcasters. I thought to myself, I'm like, I like this uniform the best. I don't like that uniform, blah, blah, blah. And I started thinking about other things about those teams. And it kind of popped into my mind that I don't feel like there's as many villains in the conference as we have had at times, where there were some coaches that were really easy to dislike, really easy to root against. So I'm asking you today, it can be a head coach, it can be player, it can be whoever you want it to be. Who are the three biggest villains right now in Big 12 football? Who are the three guys that you just do not like?
In the Big 12.
In the Big 12 for football.
Okay. I really want to dislike Deion, but it's hard to dislike Deion. I mean, there's things that I think he's polarizing. I don't hate him. So I'm gonna take him off the board. I think Rich Rodriguez is a guy that could rub you the wrong way. One, it's West Virginia. Two, it's just he's kind of out there a little bit. He's not afraid to state his opinion. So I'll say Rich Rod is one. K-State for me, just because it's K-State, and I'll throw in Mike Gundy in Oklahoma State, because I think they're a rival and a prickly group, and he's a guy that. But I don't strongly dislike them just because. Like I would have a Texas or a Texas A&M back in the day. So I hear what you're saying. So it's not like this strong hatred, with maybe the exception of one school.
I'm not trying to make you use the word hate. Okay. I said
dislike.
I said villain.
Villain. Okay, villain. I'll say West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and K-State.
was asking for like a man, not a school.
Oh no, that's what. But I'm saying, I said, Rich Rod, Mike Gundy, and Chris Kleiman.
Okay.
I'm going to expand this out just a little bit from football, but I don't think I'm going too far to answer the question, Jamie. And if I am, I'm sorry. Kyle Winningham from Utah, mainly because of Utah and the arrogance that they brought into the conference and the comments that their AD made and everything else. He's the face of their football program. I don't have anything against him personally, but I hate you because of who you work for.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you said it well there. He's kind of the face of Utah football and their fan base.
Their fan base and everything else that goes with it. And like
their arrogance,
like if he were to leave, whoever took his job would replace him on this list as we sit right now. Give him time. He may actually earn the spot on the list, but that's where we are right now. Rich Rod, because he's at West Virginia again, and I'm really sick of everything about West Virginia. So, yeah, he's going on this list because he's going to bring some arrogance because he had some when he was there before. And the other one of this is where I'm stepping just a toe outside of football, I hope. Anything related to the TCU athletic department, including their athletic director, specifically. He's kind of the one in charge of making sure Texas Tech fans don't make it to TCU games because TCU fans don't want to buy tickets. And if he would just shut up about it, we'd be fine. And, oh, by the way, that's money going into your program that you're turning down because our fans want to show up. You're slamming your own fans in preventing us from getting tickets to a road game. You're slamming your own. This is Aggie on Aggie violence, except it's Horned Frog on Horned Frog violence. And we're being look like the bad guys here. So, yeah. I hope that's not too far out of the...
No, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Deion Sanders is on my list because he's just a complete hypocrite. I do think he's a good football coach, but I think he's so much of a hypocrite with the things that he says. So he's a guy that I don't have a ton of respect for. But I think again he's impressed me with the way he can coach football and put a program together and all that. I think he's done a great job at Colorado, and I'm very interested to see what it's going to be like now without Shedeur and Travis. But I think he can coach football. So I'll give him that credit. Number two for me, I think I'm going to go. Man, this is tough because I really don't have strong opinions about most of these guys. I respect Winningham and what he has done, but I think I think Jeff said it really well. Their fan base, their arrogance, all the above, and you just look at him and he kind of feels like, yeah, that's who he is. And so I think Winningham is there on my list. And I guess the only player that I have of our 9 guys that I'm picking here is Avery Johnson, because I just think he's so overhyped. I think he has the potential to be good, but he's so inconsistent, yet he is so overhyped. I think he plays at K-State in a program and an organization that does things right and gives him every opportunity to succeed. He still gets major hype, and I think he has not done a great job. Okay, I think he's held them back, and yet we still act like this guy is the next coming just because he ran for 5 touchdowns against us. I'm not a fan of Avery Johnson. Okay. He's the one quarterback in the league I really do not like. Yeah, he's the one player. I mean, I think most of the quarterbacks seem like good dudes for the most part.
7:40. If you have a thought on that, hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that, or the mobile app. Somebody says Deion is the easy number 1 here.
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably number 1 on my list. Yeah.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Come to you from the First United Bank studio. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that, or the mobile app. The Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. We have Ranger Baseball on the air 12 hours from now, and then Balls and Strikes to follow at about 8:40 tonight. We'll have Astros Baseball tonight on 100.7 The Score, 6:40. Astros and the Guardians conclude their series. The Rangers are at the Big A in Anaheim tonight to take on the Los Angeles Angels. And again, coverage tonight at 8 o'clock. Rangers were winners last night, 13-1. They'll play tomorrow as well, as it'll be a late game. And then they'll travel on to Houston after that game and play the Astros Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. A question for you first before we get into the specifics of what Bob Bowlesby talked about yesterday. Brett Yormark talked about yesterday with regard to the Big 12 and the preference for the college football playoff. But what I wanted to ask you about was, are you surprised at how good, and I'm going to assume that you feel like he's done a good job, maybe even a great job, that Brett Yormark has done as the commissioner of the Big 12, given that he was a non-conventional choice to be a commissioner?
Yeah, no, I think he's done a terrific job. I mean, I'm not judging whether he was conventional or non-conventional. I just know that the Big 12 was on its last leg, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And he kept the conference together. Not only kept it together, but it's now made it stronger. And it outlasted the Pac-12, which I don't think most would have guessed.
Yeah.
And, well, I guess now the Pac-12 is coming back, but that's a really different story.
Yeah, it's a weak sauce version of itself.
Shell of its former self, yeah. And so, no, I think he's done a terrific job. He's an interesting character.
Yeah, he really...
It was interesting to watch him up on the stage yesterday talking to people. He tried to make himself, clearly he was trying to make himself more personable to everybody that asked a question. He asked how many times they'd been to the Big 12 media days and where they were from. And I mean, it was interesting. I mean, I'll give him credit. He tried to make himself appear to be a real guy and just laid back and cool and comfortable and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I didn't have any preconceived notions, good or bad or indifferent. But I mean, you look at it now and the choice that they made and when they made it, with Bob Bowlesby retiring and, whether he was gently said, hey, it's time for you to retire, or said, hey, you are going to retire or we're going to retire you. But the hiring of Brett Yormark seems to be now brilliant by the Big 12 chancellors and presidents and those that were on the selection committee. Because like you said, I mean, he outmaneuvered the Pac-12 with a TV deal, got ahead of the game, and then worked on, and look, when you lose a Texas and an Oklahoma, you're not going to replace those two schools even value, I guess, unless you'd gone and gotten USC and, Oregon, but still in terms of rivalry and history and things like that, it would have been, it's impossible to do. But what he has done and what they have done under his watch of bringing in Arizona and Arizona State and BYU and Utah, I mean, could you have imagined that 10 years from now, 10 years ago?
No.
Yeah, no. And the other thing you wouldn't have imagined is Oregon and UCLA and USC being members of the Big Ten. You wouldn't have imagined that either, just because of the wide now spreadness of the Big Ten, in addition to kind of the Big 12. When you think about it, you go from Morgantown, West Virginia to Provo, Utah, and even beyond with Tucson and Tempe, Arizona, with Arizona and Arizona State being members of your conference. Do you think the Big 12 gets any bigger than 16, or do you think 16 this is it?
I think it's it.
Yeah. And maybe the next thing is if there is some kind of super conference, then how does that involve all these conferences, whether it's the Big 10 or the SEC or the Big 12 or the ACC? Do you think within the next 10 years all these conferences go away and you just have a, quote, super conference and it's 48 or 64 teams, and it's then made up of divisions and things like that.
You said 10 years?
Yeah, within the next 10 years.
I think it's somewhere around that time.
By the time the next TV deal gets done or redone. Would that make you sad that the individual conferences go away?
I don't know.
Is Texas Tech a part of the big one?
Yeah, I think you're part of the big one.
I do too, but I'm asking the question. If they are, then no. It won't make me sad.
It won't make you sad? I miss the regional rivalries of the Big 12, and I'm sure that the people that are in Pac-12 land miss the regional rivalries of the Pac-12, and the people in the Big 10 kind of look at this and go, man, we're from sea to shining sea, with Rutgers at one end and Oregon at the other end. I would like to. I wish there was a more reasonable model for the.
I'm sorry, you're
sports.
talking college football being reasonable?
I know. It's just it's not. It's not. It's just if I had it to do all over again, I'd love for things to have not necessarily remained the same to a certain degree, but because I still think that you could have a super conference for football and maybe men's basketball, but then a conference, traditional conference, where it's reasonable travel for the other sports.
The super conference where you would have divisions would be better for the Olympic sports, because those would be your regional rivals. You would be facing teams from Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri in yours, as opposed to facing California to New York.
Yeah.
Like you've got in conferences now.
Yeah, maybe so.
So, yeah, that in fact would be better to have those regional rivalries back. I'll also say the only people not missing the old regional rivalries are in the SEC and Big Ten, because they took everybody out of their other ones.
And their schools getting big-time money to help them win.
Yeah.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.